In this module, we define genetically modified organisms and introduce the core mechanism behind them, recombinant DNA technology. We will particularly focus on how this is applied in agriculture to insert desired traits into crops. Genetic modification in crops often uses Agrobacterium tumefaciens to transfer specific genes into plant cells. This enables farmers to grow plants that express new traits, which then spread into conventional plant populations. The GMO debate centers on complex ethical, scientific, and economic questions. We will examine 5 key arguments against GMOs, drawing on 2 major texts that critically assess GMO production and consumption. Our first theme is human health. We will explore how concerns about safety, especially over the long term, shape public attitudes towards genetically modified foods. Critics claim that we lack conclusive evidence on the long-term health effects of GM foods. They highlight isolated studies that suggest possible cancer risks, arguing that precaution should guide consumption. One widely cited rat study reported higher tumor rates with GM corn. However, it was later retracted for serious design flaws, reminding us to evaluate scientific evidence carefully before drawing conclusions. Our second theme is environmental impact. Here we consider how GM crops might affect ecosystems and what this means for sustainable agriculture. A central concern is biodiversity. Genes from GM crops may cross-pollinate with wild or conventional plants, potentially disrupting natural species balances in ways we do not yet fully understand. Evidence shows that cross-pollination from GM crops can alter natural food species, with possible ecosystem effects. Critics argue that using Agrobacterium tumefaciens constitutes an artificial interference in evolution. Our third theme examines labeling and consumer autonomy, asking whether people have sufficient information to choose between GM and non-GM foods. In the United States, GM labeling is not universally mandatory. Opponents argue this breaches the ethical principle of autonomy by preventing consumers from making fully informed food choices. Professional guidelines stress that autonomy requires individuals to make informed health decisions. Unlike many countries with GM labeling laws, only one US state has mandated such disclosure, raising ethical concerns. Our fourth theme addresses economic and food security risks, particularly how GM technologies intersect with global inequality and market power. Some argue that reliance on patented, corporately owned GM seeds may deepen food insecurity, especially for smallholder farmers in developing regions who could become dependent on external suppliers. Scholars note that while GM foods may boost yields, they also raise issues of justice. Fair access and control over the food supply are key questions. Who gains and who may be disadvantaged by GM seed systems? Our final theme is the ethics of tampering with nature. Here we focus on moral intuitions rather than strictly scientific risk assessments. Many people feel that genetic engineering is inherently unnatural and therefore wrong, even when specific risks are unproven. This moral discomfort strongly influences public resistance to GMOs. Research shows GM foods are often seen as a double-edged sword, technically promising yet morally troubling. Misunderstandings about the science can amplify these fears, underlining the need for clear, balanced education.